All right, so here's some ways that good white people perpetuate white supremacy. All right, I don't know if you was ready to hear this, but you're going to hear it right now. Okay, so one, being colorblind. The next time I hear somebody say it's like I'm colorblind, I don't see your color. It's like you know how white supremacist that is. Think about this. Okay, so one, you're not even acknowledging what colorblind even is. Like you're really constructing your own reality on this one because if you were truly colorblind, then that means you only see things in black and white. And so you being colorblind actually means that my blackness would be accentuated, not dismissed. So that's one. So you're completely creating a false narrative on this one. And then you're eliminating something that you find disagreeable about me. That should really tell you about the supremacy part in this already, right? Is that it's like, oh, well, I just don't want to pay attention to you being black, and so I'm going to go ahead and dismiss that. That is the very essence, the foundation of white supremacy is the idea that white people are in charge of constructing not only their reality, but my reality as a result of that, right? Because let me tell you something, and this is something that might be shocking to some of y'all. I like being black. I don't like being targeted. I don't like being discriminated against, but I actually like being black. It doesn't bother me at all. So I'm just saying, you might really want to think about that if you are the good white person that talks about how colorblind you are. Here's another thing that good white people do. Good white people have this thing called white guilt. Here's the deal. And I'm putting good white people in quotes, right, all this time. Look, when you start getting all guilty and stuff, when you start getting all guilty in a room full of people of color, what you're doing is actually making your pain more important than the issue of the community of color that you're sitting in. Hopefully that actually made some sense for you, right? Like, I mean, for real, like you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And it's like, look, you're trying to shift the focus to you. You're not that important. Your guilt is not that important. How you're feeling is not as important as the issue that's happening, the issue at hand, right? And so however guilty you feel, that should not be influencing or the centerpiece of all the things that are going around you in regards to these movements or the movements or the activism that may be happening around you, right? Here's another thing that for good white folks is that your guilt is paralyzing. I could give a damn about your guilt because if you're not doing something, then I don't care how guilty you feel. You need to be part of communities and use your guilt to actually galvanize you and to move you rather than to paralyze you. And so then when you stop at your guilt, that's just another thing that perpetuates white supremacy because you're allowing those feelings to stop you from being productive and being active with these communities, right? And so then I understand if you feel guilty, but what I'm trying to tell you is that what you do from here on out, once you find out about this stuff, what you do from here on out, that's what counts. That's right. All that other guilt stuff, leave that behind. But what you do from here on, that's on you. That's what I want you to focus on, okay? And then here's another thing that good white people do in order to further white supremacy. They tell me that they're my ally. Look, folks, you can't tell me that you're my ally. That's like saying hey, I'm your wife or I'm your friend. It's like, I don't know you. I don't know you. Why are you going to make any assumptions about our relationship or whatever it is that you think we're doing here, right? Because you saying that you're my ally, it actually costs you nothing. It says nothing. As a matter of fact, and if you say this in front of a whole room full of people, it actually gets you benefits, right? It's like, I am your ally. It's like, you know what? I could give a rat's ass whether you say you're my ally or not, right? And not only that, but it makes you feel better. Again, putting your emotions and your situation at the center of all of this when there's a real issue that's happening that the boots on the ground, people need to be fighting this fight and being active in these moments. But you're saying this makes you feel better because I need to know what your actions are. I need to know what your actions are. What are your actions? And so then here's what you need to understand then is that you need to wait. You need to slow your roll and let people of color tell you that you are their ally. Okay, that's what you need to be waiting for. And so don't tell me that you're my ally. Wait for other people to tell you, you know what? No, I see you as an ally. You want to know why? Because the reason why that's going to happen, why that's going to be important, is because that means that that person of color can actually see your actions, and then they will determine for themselves whether you're an ally or not. Here's the other part of that, is that letting people of color tell you that you're their ally, but understanding that that person of color, they ain't speaking for everybody. They're not speaking for everybody for the movement. They're not speaking for everybody in their friendship group. They're just talking about themselves. Therefore, you need to make sure that you don't go into other spaces and say, well, Dr. Bruce Hoskins says I'm an ally, therefore you should think that I'm your ally. Nah, that's not how this works, player. And so then in the end, ultimately, the immortal words of Kendrick Lamar come into my head, and that is to be humble, and sit down, and listen. Anyway, folks, if you got any comments or questions, leave them below. If you like what you're hearing, subscribe and share. Go to brucehoskins.com to listen to hear more about who I am and what I do. Peace, y'all.